Good morning. How are you today? This morning we are going to do a little bit of a reminder about the story about when Jesus was born. So last month for Christmas, right, we read that story about when Mary and Joseph were chosen to be Jesus's parents, and they had baby Jesus in the stable. That was the barn, and they laid him in the manger. Do you remember that? Well, after Jesus was born, a lot of exciting things happened. So an angel came to these shepherds that were in this field watching their flock, and they told the shepherds to tell everyone about Jesus being born. And the shepherds obeyed, and they did, and it was amazing. So what happened after that is word spread. So everyone started hearing about that our Savior, our King, was born, and it was this baby. So this is where we get to the story about the three kings, the Magi. They had a few different nicknames. So sometimes we hear them called the wise men. Sometimes we hear them called the three kings, and sometimes we hear them called the Magi. So they were these three kings from far, far away, and they heard about Jesus. So here's our story from the Bible. It says, the three wise men had seen a lot of stars, but they had never seen a special star like this one. Here it is up here. This star was moving across the eastern sky, and night after night they followed it. They knew God was using it to guide them to a new king, and that was Jesus. The journey was long, but finally the star stopped and came to rest over Bethlehem. Beneath the star they found the baby Jesus, and when they saw him, they bowed down and worshiped him, and they gave Jesus gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and they knew Jesus was the Lord. And over here it says God guides us to Jesus so we can worship him. The wise men followed the star to worship Jesus, and there they are. So they traveled really far by camel. Do you see the camels in that picture? Because back then there were no cars, there were no planes, they couldn't even take a train. So they rode on these camels. And if you know anything about camels, they kind of walk slow. So it took them a really, really long time to get to Jesus. And although a lot of Bible stories, and kind of even this one, kind of makes you think that they're visiting Jesus in the stable, but they didn't. Because it took so long, what happened was Jesus started growing up. And by the time the three kings got to Jesus, he was probably about 2 years old. So when they went to go see Jesus, he was already, walking around, probably talking, but they still went on their journey, and they still followed and listened to God to find Jesus and present him with these gifts because he was our King, our Savior. Do you remember what the gifts were? There were 3 of them. One was gold, one was frankincense, and one was myrrh. And gold, that's like, we know what gold is, like on jewelry. But frankincense and myrrh, those were like oils or perfumes, things like that were very rare and very expensive. And it was a really nice gift to give to the Lord, to present him. So what you're going to do now is you have a paper that looks like this, and up here it says the Magi, and here's the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. You can color those. And on our story, here it shows the Magi, the 3 kings, following the star, and it says the Magi saw a bright star and knew it would lead them to someone special. Who was someone special? It was Jesus. So they followed the star to Bethlehem. And here's a better picture of what it probably looks like when they got there. Jesus was probably not a baby. He was probably about 2 years old, but they still worshiped him, bowed down, and gave him gifts. And it says there the wise men found a young child who would be greater than they were, and they gave him gifts and worshiped him. So here, what I want you to do is color these pictures. Then you're going to cut on the lines and make a little book. And on the last page, it has some questions that the adult in your house who's helping you can ask you the questions if you know the answers to the story. It says, how did God guide the Magi? So that means, what did he put up in the sky that they followed? Here's a little hint up there. And the next question was, who was the special child that they were going to visit? And I know you know that answer. So you can fill that in, and then you'll have a little book to share. Maybe with your siblings, you can tell them that story, or even grandparents love to hear the story too. So I hope you liked it, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye.